is history? What is history? Tracking, jump here. Louder and prouder because you know it. Say, he can do it. He can do it. Start with those elbows locked. History, get ready, go. History, the study of the past. Again, go. History, the study of the past. Who studies history? Who studies history? Who studies history? Windows start rocking it out. Who studies history? Tracking Jopla.
A person that studies history is a historian.
A person who studies history is a
Historian.
Historian, get ready, go.
Historian. A person who studies the past.
What tool does a historian use? Thank you, Zena, for that bright face and that tight vertical. What tool does a historian use? Tracking Corey.
A historian uses a timeline.
A historian uses a
Timeline.
A historian uses a
Timeline.
Corey, what is a timeline?
And a timeline is a line that puts things in order from the beginning to the middle to the end. Yeah.
Timeline, get ready, go.
Timeline. A line that puts things in order from the beginning to the middle to the end. Yeah.
Left side.
From the past.
Right side.
Present time.
Okay, back and start. So guys, we learned about a group of people. This group of people, they left England. They what?
Left England.
Why did they leave England? Why did they leave England? Why did this group of people leave England? Tracking Todd.
The people.
Love the lasers coming from my second row.
England.
Louder and prouder, Todd, and let me see those hands locked in my third row with those laser eyes. Thank you,
The people
Shofla.
left England because they wanted the 3Ds.
And what were the 3 G's, Todd?
The 3Ds were God, gold, and glory.
Yes, this group of people, they wanted the 3 G's. They wanted the
3 Ds.
They wanted the
3 Ds.
Her G is
God,
G.
glory,
Her G.
gold.
Excellent. So they wanted the 3 G's. So they left. They what?
Left.
They what?
Left.
They wanted to form colonies. They wanted to form
Colonies.
But what did King George do for revenge? What did King George do for revenge? This group of people left England. They what?
Left England.
What did King George do as revenge? Tracking Zena. Hands up too slow. Hands up too slow. Tracking Zena.
For revenge, King George, he taxed the tea.
You're thinking too far. Oh, what do we think? What do we think? What do we think? King George taxed the tea. He taxed the tea. He taxed the tea. And what is a tax? What is a tax? What is a tax? Let's go turn it on, gentlemen. What is a tax? What is a tax? Tracking Liana.
A tax is money you pay to the government.
Tax is money that you pay the
Government.
Money that you pay the
Government.
Okay, so King George, he taxed the tea. He taxed the tea. He taxed the
Tea.
What did the colonists do for revenge? What did the colonists do for revenge? Rihanna is with me. Taki is with me. What did the colonists do for revenge, Teofila, once King George taxed the tea? Tracking Montreal.
The colonists dumped the tea into the harbor.
What do we think? Yes, it was the Boston Tea Party. It was the
Boston Tea Party.
After the Boston Tea Party, what did King George do? After the Boston Tea Party, what did King George do? After the Boston Tea Party, what did King George do? Let's go, Montreal, because I know you know this. What did King George do after the Boston Tea Party? Checking on those verticals in my third row. Tracking Jada.
After the Patriots dumped the tea into the harbor, King George he sent his British troops to go to the colony.
Yes, he sent his British troops in. Who warned them that the British were coming? Who warned them that the British were coming? Who warned them that the British was coming? Stephanie. Oh, too slow. Hands up. Stephanie. So she'll blow the check and start.
Paul Revere warned the Patriots that the British troops were coming.
Yes, it was Paul Revere. It was
Paul Revere.
The scholars, we learned learned about our first battles in the Revolutionary War. In the
Revolutionary War.
So scholars, the Patriots, they needed help. They needed
Help.
So they needed a strong leader. They needed a
Strong leader.
And come on, guess what? This important leader name was George Washington. His name was
George Washington.
You may know George Washington. Back and start. So scholars, the Patriots needed a strong leader. They needed a
Strong leader.
So they found George Washington. So scholars, while we're watching this video, waiting on my sixth row, while we're watching this video, we're going to be thinking, Sandra, about why George Washington was an essential leader. We're going to be thinking, Zena, about why George Washington was an essential leader. What are we thinking about, Liana?
We're thinking about why George
Zena has another chat.
was a leader.
What are we thinking about, Rihanna?
We're thinking about why George Washington was an important leader.
An essential leader, back at you.
Was an essential leader.
Essential.
Essential.
Thank you. And essential, back at me, is another word for important. Another word for
Important.
Another word for
Important.
Now, if you like checking my video and wondering why George Washington was an essential leader. Waiting on eyes in my third row. Thank you.
Let's give it another try. We've been full of the floor, sir. That stone's not going to come out. I'll give you the signal. Now try, Mr. Washington. What's the trouble? What's wrong? It's war, man. The British fired on Lexington. We need Mr. Washington. I humbly accept your call. I will lead this army. But I beg that each of you will remember, I do not think myself equal to this command. As for the pay you have offered me, I cannot accept it. To serve is honor enough.
So he's still going to serve for them, but he doesn't want to get paid.
I love my country.
Matthew Light. So just watching that short clip, I'm wondering why George Washington was an essential leader for the Patriots. Hands down. Turn. Toss. Hands up. Why is George Washington an essential leader? Track and Tommy. Oh, hands up, too slow. Let's go, third row. Gotta wake up. Track and Tommy.
George Washington is an essential leader because he wanted to fight with the British so that the British
Thank you for having me.
so that the British would be able to fight the British.
The British would be able to fight the British.
The Patriots will be able to fight the British now that they have their leader George Washington. And George Washington wanted to be on MT because he wanted to save the Patriots from being killed by the British.
Sandra, Bill. Let me see who's giving Sandra some energy on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Whoa, 100% in my second row. Let's go.
I'll give you Taffy because I think that George Washington wanted to lead the Patriots, and he was an essential leader because he wanted the Patriots to get their freedom, and he wanted the Patriots to win the Revolutionary War because he didn't want the Patriots to lose and not get their freedom.
Okay, so let's keep that in mind. He wanted them to have freedom. He wanted them to have
Freedom.
And he wanted the Patriots to have freedom. He wanted the
Patriots to have freedom.
He wanted the
Patriots to have freedom.
And he also loved his country. He what?
Also loved his country.
He loved his country. He what?
Loved his country.
Thank you. So let's continue having that in mind and learning more about George Washington. Pass your airtight activity. It is passed in 5. That are your notes, Aaliyah. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. 2 slow, pass it back. It's passed back in 3, and 2, and 1. Pass your airtight activity in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Name and date in 10. Looking for my sharpest row to earn a star. 9. Thank you, Timothy. 8. Today is the 28th. Even though we had a snow day yesterday, you should still know today is January 28th. Pencils down in 5, 4, looking for my sharpest row, and 3, because I know they're not going to get tricked, and 2, and 1. Definitely let's go to the 5th row because I have 100% of the laser eyes in their hands glued. So we go 5th row.
Let's go, 5th row.
Excellent. Pass your attach stations are ready. And 7. Pass your attach stations are ready. And 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Waiting on my 3rd row. So Luffy is a check, you're in star. Thank you. Finger on number 1, on number
1.
On number
1.
On number
1.
So that, thank you. So Salim is a check, we're on number 1. Read it loud and proud, Emmanuel.
List of George Washington's character traits and explain how these character traits made him a good leader.
Read it again, Tori.
List some of George Washington's character traits and explain how these character traits made him a good leader.
Thank you. Number 2, Heaven.
List some of George Washington's responsibilities.
Read it again, Jamir.
List some of George Washington's responsibilities.
Thank you. Finger on your tap. Farmer, friend, and sales statement. Start reading for us, loud and proud, Faith.
Farmer, friends, and statesmen. For his brave deeds, George was made commander of the Virginia militia.
Militia. The word is
Militia.
The word is
Militia.
And remember, militia is a volunteer army. Militia is a
Volunteer army.
I need 100% mouths moving. Militia is a
Volunteer army.
Thank you. So, Leah, that is a check. Every mouth is moving. Militia is a
Volunteer army.
Actually, continue reading, Faith.
A militia is a volunteer army. His route was impossible. To then 350 miles, 563
Kilometers.
kilometers of frontiers without enough soldiers or supplies.
My turn. A rare break from battle, George commanded at a friend's house. There he met Martha Curtis and her two children. George said she made him feel instantly at home. The next day, George asked Martha to marry him as soon as he could leave the army, and she did. George nicknamed Martha's children Patsy and Jackie. They all lived at Mount Vernon. George rode his big horse all over trees and animals. Continue reading, Liana.
He experimented with different soils and crops. Soon Mount Vernon was one of the best plantations.
What's the word? What's the first chunk?
Plantation
Thank you.
in the colony.
Thank you, Luffy, for perfect reading mastery stamp.
George also became a member of the Virginia State
Legislature. Say it.
Legislature.
Continue.
Legislature, which helped make laws.
Pause right there. So, scholars, he helped the country make laws. Make what?
Laws.
Make what?
Laws.
Interesting. So he's still defending his country. He's defending his
Country.
Turn it. Flat in 5. You ready to go in 4? Let me see who's in perfect reading mastery stance for the whole row. In 5, 4, 3, and already Emmanuel is in perfect reading mastery stance. Britt, I need your hands in reading mastery stance in 3, 2, and 1. Definitely has to go to the third row because I have 100% of them in reading mastery stance, and also the first row. Excellent. Continue reading for us, loud and proud, Jada.
George realized America had problems to pay for French and Indian War. England put high taxes on imported goods. George
What's the first chunk? Yep, keep going. What's the O say? Thank you, the word is
Propose.
The word is
Propose.
Continue.
George proposed that America
Brianna
refuse
to check
to
eyes.
buy things from England. This is protest sent a clear message to England that the colonies would not put up with unfair taxes. It had another good effect. America brought American products, so
Colonial industries grew. However, the situation in the colonies got worse. England came up with new taxes. Tori, pick up.
When the Americans protested, England sent troops. The Americans got together to decide what to do. Leaders and thinkers from each colony formed the Continental Congress. They decided America needed an army to fight the English. They voted for George to be commander-in-chief.
So scholars, he's moving up. He's getting an important position. He's getting an
important position.
Interesting. Continue reading, Tori.
They voted for George. He agreed but refused any pay. George wanted only to do his duty.
Pancake, you're ready to go in 5. Finger on. In 4, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Aaliyah. In 4, Sandra, I. 3, 2, and 1. Zena, pick up.
General. As July 3rd,
So, Rihanna, is another check. You're on your way to yellow.
George took command. He was very disappointed. The men of the Continental Army were not professional soldiers. They were farmers, backwoodsmen, clerks, dock workers, cobblers, and fishermen. They were not used to marching or following orders. They did not have enough uniforms, guns, bullets, or food. In the fall of 1775, smallpox swept through the
Continental, say it.
Continental Army.
Thank you, Montreal pickup.
Thousands of men got sick. George was immune to smallpox because he had the disease when he was 19. Instead of going home to visit Martha that winter, George stayed encouraging his ailing army.
Fix it. 5, 4. Now we're on the love leader. In 3, let me see who's ready to be a rock star reader in perfect reading mastery stance. In 3. Thank you, Jada. In 2 and 1. Britain looking sharp. Continue reading for us, Faith. Oh, freeze. Waiting on my third row for perfect reading mastery stance. In 3, 2, and 1. So Teofila and Taj at the check, your hand is flat. Thank you. Continue reading, Faith.
More than hope was needed to win the Revolutionary War. The
Continental. My turn. And I love that Samaya and Tori are tracking my lips. Continental. My turn again. Continental. Your turn.
Continental.
Say it the fast way. Continental. Say it.
Continental.
Thank you. Continue reading, Faith. What's the word?
Continental.
Thank you, Faith. Continue reading.
The Continental Army continued to suffer defeat and retreat.
In December 1777, the British marched into Philadelphia. Congress fled and the English settled down for a comfortable winter in America's capital. Meanwhile, George and his men made their weary way to a nearby place called Valley Forge. Pick up Emmanuel.
Many soldiers didn't have shoes. They wrapped their frozen feet with rags, but ice cut through the rags, and the men left a bloody trail in the snow.
Thank you. Pick up Tahid.
Georgia's soldiers chopped down trees and built log huts. He stayed in a pit until the hut city was finished. Now the army had shelter, but not enough food, clothing, blankets, medicine, or doctors.
Thank you. Pick up Jada. During
the terrible winter, 2,500 Americans died from cold, hunger, and disease. Another 2,500 sneaked home.
Thank you. Pick up Christian.
But
So you do have a check for not knowing where we're at. Timothy, pick up.
the 6,000 who stayed became as tough and stubborn as their leader. George refused to give up the fight for America, and hope was on the way.
So I'm thinking back down. He did not give up. I'm wondering if that can help you choose a character trait. Oh, Jada, you know. Oh, Timothy, you sent it to me. Oh, hands down. Oh, I know you know. I wonder if that can help you figure out number 1. So, scholars, your stations are ready to go in 3. Stations are ready to go in 2. Stations are ready to go in 1. Hands up. Take it out. 3, 2, and 1. Pencils up. You have 7 minutes. Go. Wow, Emmanuel, so focused. Britain eyes. me see who's in perfect writing stance. Thank you, Christian, for fixing it. Seeing some juicy character traits. That is an eye. Michelle, come to next. Written eyes. That's on your paper. You're not driving to my paper. Guys, you should be finishing up number 1 and you should now be moving on to number 2. You should be finishing up number 1 and you should now be moving on to number 2, thinking about all his responsibilities. Can you tell me specifically? How? Okay, but I need specific ways. Scholars, I need specific responsibilities. I need specific. What exactly did he do? What was exactly his position and role in the Revolutionary War? I need specifics. Pencils are down in 5, ready to be a rock star historian. In 3. Thunder is ready to be a rock star historian. Matthew is ready. Taj is ready. High five to you. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Alright, so let's talk about the character traits to describe George Washington. Tahi, can you start us off? Let me see whose lasers are on Tahi, like Emmanuel, like Corey, like Sean.
I think George.
Wait on one in my first row. Joshua at the chalk.
One character trait to describe George Washington was brave because when the Patriots sneaked out, he didn't leave because he wanted to fight with the British so that he could make the world a better place.
Okay, so he was brave. He was
Brave.
He was
Brave.
Jada, fill on to us.
I can buzz off.
Oh, freeze, back at me. Hands up. Hands up. Everyone's hand is up. Waiting on one in my third row. Hands down, hands up. Hands down, tracking Jada. Dina, it's a check star. Luffy, it's a check star.
I can build off you, Taki, because George Washington was determined because he never gave up fighting and helping his team and defeat the British troops.
Excellent. So he was determined. He was
Determined.
He was
Determined.
Can you share out the last character trait that you discovered? Waiting on one in my third row.
I said that George Washington was humble, and I said he was humble.
Can you just speak a little bit louder? I know your voice is a little scratchy today, but can you speak a little bit louder because I need Celine to hear this.
And I said he was humble because he led the U.S. Army and he wasn't proud of himself.
Can you repeat that last part again, Taj? He wasn't.
He wasn't proud of himself.
Oh, he wasn't proud of himself. He wasn't proud of himself. He was humble. He was humble. He was humble. Nice work, everyone. Nice work, everyone. Nice and neat in 5. Nice and neat in 4. Nice and neat in 3. Nice and neat in 2. Ready to go in star in 1. Pass them to the window. They're passed in 8. They're passed in 7. They're passed in 6. They're passed in 5. They're passed in 4. They're passed in 3. They're passed in 2. They're passed in 1. I'm giving the first and second row a point because I had 100% perfect start and their papers were already passed. They ready to go first row?
Way to go, first row!
Ready to go first row?
Way to go, first row!
Way to go second row?
Way to go, second row!
Pass your notes, name and date. Pass your notes, name and date. It's passed at your station in 5. Passed at your station in 4. Passed at your station in 3. And 2. And 1. Name and date in 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. Thank you, Jada, for your eyes. And 5. Thank you, Britton, for your eyes. Thank you, Jamia, for your eyes. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So Zena and Faith, that is the check. Zena, you're now on red. Go. Finger on job. Finger on
Job.
Finger on job. Finger on
Job.
Finger on
Job.
So scholars, one job was the general of Continental Army. One job. Thank you for your eyes, Corey. One job for George Washington was he was the commander of the Continental Army. He was a commander. He was a
Commander.
of the Continental Army. Of the
Continental Army.
Pencils up, record with me. He was a commander. He was a
Commander.
of the Continental Army. So written is a check. You're sitting down on your bottom and you're copying my chart. Pencils down in 5, 4. Waiting on chair city shot to my third row. In 5, 4. Thank you for your feet being super flat, Emmanuel. Thank you, Sean, for those feet glued to the floor. And 3, and 2, and 1. Another job for George Washington was he was a lawmaker in Virginia. He was a lawmaker in Virginia. He was a
Lawmaker in Virginia.
Pencils up, record. Lawmaker. In Virginia. And I'm going to say VA for short. VA stands for Virginia. VA stands for
Virginia.
He was a lawmaker in Virginia. 10, 9. Thank you, Rayana, for making better choice and taking responsibility of your actions. And 7, 6. Tori, I think you might be my star master of social studies today. And 5, 4. Don't get tricked. 3. Every pencil's getting placed down. In 2, and 1. And then eventually, hands are locked. Waiting on 1. George Washington became the President of the United States. Not yet, but later on, George Washington became President of the United States. Pencils up, record. President of the USA. So, Emmanuel, you have a check. Turn around. Pencils are down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So now we're moving on to some character traits. We already said he was humble. He was humble. Pencils up, record. He was a leader. He was a leader. He was a leader. He was determined. He was determined. And your head, please. He was passionate. He was passionate. He was passionate. And he was responsible. He was
Responsible.
He was
Responsible.
So Luffy is a check, Teofila is a check. And Teofila, I think that means that you're on red now. Yep. Pencils are down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Social studies folder out. Back and start in 4. Back and start. Thank you, Liana, for following my directions. Back and start in 3. Back and start in 2. Back and start in 1. Notes away. Folder away in 7. Back and start in 6. Back and start in 5. Thank you, Liana. Perfect. In 5. 4. Thank you, Timothy. Make sure that chair is taut. Thank you, Corey. Make sure those feet are flat. In 5. Thank you, Madison. Sitting up straight. In 4. and whiteboard away. Back away in 5, 4, 3, 2, and star, and 1. So I'm looking to see what row follows directions, Christian, and what row can beat my count. Whiteboard out. 4, 2, and 1. Let me see, I didn't have 100%. Pencil pouch out. Back to start. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Almost had 100% in my 5th row. Marker and cloth ready to go. Pencil pouch away in 7. Let me see if I can get 100% in a full row. In 5, 4, 3. Thank you, Faith. You definitely want it for your row. Taki definitely wants it for his row. In 3, and 2, and 1. I have 100% in the 2nd row. I have 100% in the 3rd row. 4th row. And 5th row. Okay, so scholars, listen to my challenge. I'm going to say the question 2 times. How many times? 2 times. How many times? 2 times. Then you're going to record. I'm going to say it 2 times. How many times? 2 times. Until I say it the 2nd time, till your hands are locked. Your hands are locked. Your hands are locked. Just like Tori. What was another name for the redcoats? What was, thank you for having your hands locked because you're not getting tricked. What was another name for the redcoats? Record. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You just have to write the word. You do not have to write in a complete sentence. 5, 4. No, because I need to record right now. 3, 2. It's flat, and 1. Oh no, we got tricked because I know our markers are just like our pencils. Back up. They're down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Show me on your chart. Guys, another name. Oh, is the lobster back. Is the lobster back. Or the loyalist. Or the loyalist. They're down 100% on that one. Erase in 10. Erase in 5. Back and start in 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Who won the Battle of Concord? Who won the Battle of Concord? The Battle of Concord was the 2nd battle. Who won it? Go. Oh, I should see your eyes on your whiteboard because I shouldn't see you looking at the charts because I want to see what you know, Taki. 7, 6, 5, 4. And thank you for putting your marker back on the rest with the cap still off. Thank you for keeping your cap off and still putting it on the rack. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Show me on chat. It was the Patriots. It was the Patriots. Markers down. Our whiteboard down. Great. Last question. 5, 4. Jada, erase with your hand. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Who was, love those lasers, Stephanie. Who was the essential leader of the Patriots? Who was the essential leader to the Patriots army? Go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Don't get tricked. That marker is back in the rest. In 3, 2, and 1. Show me a check. It was George Washington. It's flat. 3, Why is, oh, I mean those eyes. Why is George Washington an essential leader to the Patriots Army? Why was George Washington an essential leader to the Revolutionary War and the Patriots Army? Hands down, turn, talk. They're not 100%. Thank you. Why was, oh, lock it up. Why was George Washington an essential leader to the, why was George Washington an essential leader to the Patriots Army? Talking Madison. Loud and proud, Madison.
George Washington was an essential leader to the Patriots because if the Patriots didn't have a leader, then they would lose the Revolutionary War.
Jada Bills.
I can build off to you, Madison, because George Washington was an important leader because he helped the Patriots defeat the loyalists.
Thank you for your tracking eyes, Christian.
And then the Patriots won the battle.
Timothy, last comment, and then we are moving on to math.
I can go off of you, Jada, because George Washington was an essential leader because he showed people not to give up to fight against the war.
Excellent. So, scholars, he was a leader. He was a leader. Because the Patriots, Sandra, they did not have a leader before. So he was a role model. He was a role model. Remember, like Taj told us, he was humble. He was humble. He was not proud of himself. He loved his country. He what? Loved his country. Everything away in 10. Everything away in 9. Everything away in